What makes a whiskey brand truly legendary? A lot of brands will home in on the trends of the day, while others will double down hard on traditional elements, really leaning into the heritage of their brand. Not many of them can say that they've maintained this iconic status of legendary for centuries. However, Lagavulin has done so. Today we're diving in deep into the Lagavulin 𝙬𝙤, one of my all-time favorite drams, as we talk about how they define their brand centuries after the creation. Tune in. Whoop. Hey, I'm Rian from A Dram Half Full, and whether your glass is half full or half empty, I am here to help you guys refill it. So welcome. Now, my channel is all about capturing the whiskey industry from a bit of a different light. A lot of brands go through the expressions, the distilleries, the processes, and I love that. And I do definitely incorporate a lot of that into my channel. But I like to take a look a little bit deeper at the brands that we know and love. Their processes on how they choose to identify themselves and separate themselves from the rest of the brands that are on the market. It's a challenge being in the industry because there's so many whiskeys on the shelf. But today we're talking about a whiskey distillery that has such a reputation that absolutely precedes it. Anytime you jump online and you Google Scotch smoky whiskey, this one distillery, without fail, will always pop up onto your Google search. So for me, Lagavulin is an incredible representation of Scotch whiskey. You know, the brand is over 200 years old, so they have an air of dignity and they're so renowned for producing some absolutely incredible Scotch whiskey. Honest to God, it has got to be one of my favorite Scotch Islay distilleries in operation today, maybe with a couple of exceptions. I do love myself a Bruichladdich, not gonna lie. Props to you guys. But I would dare to hazard a guess that it has got to be one of the most popular Islay whiskeys in existence. You can challenge me in the comments if you like. No, so as I mentioned, over 200 years old. So how does a brand last for such a long period of time in operation and still remain relevant centuries after they open the doors? I mean, that takes so much grit and so much personality. And of course, the product that we're going to be experiencing tonight is worth the discussion and it's worth the reputation that it's established. But how does it stay relevant beyond just producing a good spirit? Without further ado, let us crack into the Lagavulin 𝙬𝙤. All right. So maybe all that marketing fluff that I was just espousing didn't actually mean anything. Maybe the spirit is enough to carry it through the centuries. Wow, what a beautiful nose. All right, we're gonna tangent momentarily down the path of talking about the actual spirit that I'm drinking before we circle back to some of the marketing and design fluff. So you're greeted straight away with a massive plume of charcoal smoke. There's a beautiful base of sherry notes in there as well. It is wonderful. So, I mean, the brand itself has a reputation that almost doesn't need much explanation. I mean, they lean obviously very heavy into their heritage. The bottles are very traditionally Islay. You've got some subtle embossing of their established date on the bottle. We've got a lovely off-white, almost creamy, oaty sort of label with lovely filigree details of the Lagavulin crest logo all up on the side of that thing. So they've tied in a lot of these beautiful traditional elements, which I can see very clearly that they're playing very heavily on their heritage. So the brand is obviously positioning themselves as quite sophisticated, which is not a fault at all. In fact, many brands within the industry do this exact thing. They tie into the heritage and the legacy of their brand and the history that goes along with that. And you know, that is actually quite a powerful thing to do because it provides a sense of authority in what they're producing. You know, these guys have been around for 200 years, so they know their stuff. And just by looking at the bottle, the stature, the filigree, the detailing, the traditional color palettes, you see that as you look at the bottle on the shelf, whether that's subconscious or something you're aware of, but that's a part of their brand identity. And that's such an important element that helps people recognize the product and trust the product, which is huge when you're creating a loyal fan base that is going to continue to purchase your products for maybe even centuries. I don't know if anyone's living that long, but I'm sure there's a few vampires out there that love this drink as well. I know I would if I was a bloodsucker. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about how the brand chooses to separate themselves from some of the industry, or some of the activations that they go with to really define the brand and stay relevant in the modern era. Because sometimes brand identity and traditional elements are not enough to really separate yourself from the industry. Ooh. Anyway, back to how they define their brand against the audience and against their competitors within the industry. Recently, and the most recent would be their well, it's not even a partnership. They actually did it. They sponsored in collaboration with High Snobiety to do a photo shoot. High Snobiety are like a fashion hub online. They have like a blog and things like that, and they talk about a lot of the cultural trends and fashion things that are out there at the moment. But they recruited the help of Conor McKnight. He's this incredible New York-based rising star in the fashion scene. And Conor McKnight did a whole bunch of garments, leather jackets, and things like that to kind of capture the essence of Lagavulin. And the portfolio of work that came out of that partnership was this set of absolutely gorgeous photos that, with the lighting and the photography and the garment arrangement, coupled with a glass of beautiful Lagavulin 𝙬𝙤, you get these lovely kind of glimpses into the essence of the spirit that they're producing. However, what this actually does is it taps into an audience that's probably a little bit more fashion centric, a little bit younger, and it just creates this romanticized appeal to the brand. And it's a really great gateway drug without being too gimmicky to kind of tap into those audiences. And then another iconic partnership, which you'll see on the table over here, is the partnership with Nick Offerman. So for all of you fans out there, you've probably seen Parks and Rec. Now, this is a TV series that's been out for quite some time, but the character that Nick Offerman played on the show, he had an obsession with Lagavulin 𝙬𝙤. And it kind of started out as a little bit of a joke because Nick Offerman liked the drink, and so he tried to squeeze it into all the different sets, and it made this iconic character that obsessed with the drink itself. And I think that is a great way to kind of organically push this beverage into the public zeitgeist and make it appealing in a way. But it was shortly after that Lagavulin partnered with him officially and started creating these limited releases. I think the first of which was their Guinness cask, which unfortunately I wasn't lucky enough to snag up at the time. I've later managed to acquire a couple of other editions, the Caribbean rum cask and the charred oak version, which I haven't even cracked the charred oak, but lovely expressions. But this partnership is a great way to partner with a celebrity in, it is a little gimmicky. They play on the humor of Nick Offerman and his character, and they really do tie in a lot of those kind of elements, which makes it kind of a little bit funner, a little bit more engaging to kind of engage with that younger demographic and the new audiences that might not have been brought into the whiskey community just yet. So, when a brand is over 200 years old, it might get a little challenging from time to time to really bridge the gap and connect with everybody and, keep relevant in the modern era. But I think props to them in how they've managed to execute all of these activations and doing it in a way that doesn't degrade the core brand as a whole, nor alienate the fans that have really helped pave the way to the success and reputation of such a prolific distillery. So props to them for that. But let's actually go in for a bit of a deeper dive on this one. So as I said before, we've got that lovely blanket of smoke, a great foundation of dried cherry fruits. There's a subtle cherry note that I'm picking up in there as well. And there is this kind of vanilla oakiness to it also. Oh, man, it is such a particularly beautiful spirit. the complexity of that is just like out of this goddamn world. Seriously, like, how do they manage to create something so complex while having such a predominant note taking the front seat in this experience? Like, smoke is intense, but it doesn't steal the show from the beautiful blanket of fruits and vanillas and items like that just kind of like ride out through the center of the palate there. You know, it's got this lovely kind of progression. It doesn't, like, it's not an entirely enduring spirit. However, that smoke sticks around and does kind of let it last. There's this little bit of like, I'm getting, it might be a bit peculiar, but almost a bit of like a charred pineapple in there as well. And I'm not just thinking about the Caribbean rum cask edition. I'm drinking the Lagavulin 16, so I'm a little surprised to be getting pineapple in there. But what a fun note, man. That just adds a little bit of zest to the whole thing. I don't know why I had to say it like that. No, it's a beautiful spirit. It's got so much flavor to it. You can really taste the core spirit, the new make in there, I think. Because there's this beautiful, almost like blackberry, raspberry fruitiness. But you know what? I wouldn't even go as far as saying that it's like fresh fruits or overly ripe fruits. It's a bit more on the dried side, which I'm a big fan of sherry whiskey expressions. And I think that dried fruit note is just kind of like all through there. Guys, please tell me what you think about the Lagavulin 16 or the Lagavulin brand as a whole. I'm particularly curious to know what you guys think about the partnerships of late. Do you find that this fashion direction is a little bit too pretentious? Does it even correlate with the brand properly? Some people might not think so, but I think it's captured it in such a wonderful way. And likewise, Offerman? Really? He's a bit gimmicky, wouldn't you say? But for some reason, it doesn't degrade the brand for me at all. I got into this brand long before they did any partnerships of that caliber or that degree. And yet I'm still surprised to say, I don't find it's cheapened the brand at all. But I'm so curious to hear what you guys think. So please, if you get a chance, drop a comment in the comment section below. Really? Where else do you put a comment, Rian? Come on, man. And if you liked the episode, I'd be absolutely honored if you liked it and subscribe to the channel. I've got so much more content planned, and I'm pumped to be talking about some of my favorite expressions and how these brands choose to identify themselves and separate themselves from the rest of the industry. Well, that's pretty much all I've got for today. Thank you so much for stopping by, and may your glass be... That's wrong. May your days be as full as your glass, guys. Cheers for that.